Welcome back, everybody, to another shocking prison reality check episode of Lockdown 23 and 1. That's right, shocking prison reality check it definitely is. As a matter of fact, the story today was one of the top 3 worst nightmares I could possibly imagine when I was sitting in my cell. One was like end of the world zombie apocalypse and all the COs just dip and leave you in the tank. All you got is your commissary, right? You can't get out the cell, you're trapped. Kind of like The Walking Dead, they popped open the cell block and all them zombies came out. Those were inmates that were left for dead, and they became the dead. That was one of my worst nightmares, not to mention one of my loved ones passing away. That was number 2. And number 3, because I dealt with a lot of fire in the cell, being burned alive. And that's exactly what we're going to be speaking about today. Inmates being burned alive in their cell coming from an Indiana state prison. So let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. If you're new to the channel and enjoy all things lockup and crime related, then this is absolutely where you need to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my beautifully assorted playlist for you to start watching today. Alright, before I jump into this article, let me just say, for those that don't know, I've been to prison 2 times. That's right, I've been out for quite a while now, but when I was in there, man, I was quite the pyro. Not because I enjoy lighting fires, but just because, fire's a high commodity in there. Especially when they took the smoking out, that means the lighters went with it. So now you gotta get creative to light that contraband tobacco. Not to mention I had many close calls where my cell possibly could have went up in flames as well. Literally left my socks smoking. So what I'm trying to say here is I've had plenty of experiences with fire in prison. But jumping right into the article, it says this week the Indiana Department of Corrections started taking dramatic action to address ongoing fires inside Indiana State Prison in Michigan City, Indiana. Inmates and staff say the fires have become a daily occurrence at the 165-year-old prison. Jeez, man, oh man, this reminds me of the prison I was in. Well, 165 years old, you can only imagine it probably doesn't have no AC. Inmates are in there cooking on those humid days in the summertime. Probably just a few big high-powered fans. That's what I was used to, not to mention probably no sprinklers in the cells in case a fire jumps off. And look, when I was in jail, I popped one of those sprinklers in the cell. Fire department comes in, rusty water gets it flowing, floods the cell block. Why do inmates do it? It's because we're bored as hell or need something to be done and no one's listening. More times than none, just bored and angry. But in many prisons, you don't have these sprinkler systems in the cell, especially the old ones that are 165 years old, if I were to guess. Maybe they do, I don't know, but it says, while many of the fires are minor, others have resulted in horrible injuries and gruesome deaths. 13 News has been in frequent contact with the IDOC about the changes that are now underway. The situation inside the prison is evolving, as are the strategies of IDOC administrators are developing to get the fire problem under control. The story will be updated as frequently as possible to keep inmates, staff, and their families informed about new details and developments. Thank you, Channel 13 News, with this exclusive. Man, oh man, I wouldn't have heard nothing about it. But it says an incident on April 10th, 2026. IDOC says it's continuing to remove electrical outlets from inmate cells in D cell house. Oh no, not D block, probably cell 222. But they're removing electrical outlets from inmate cells in D cell house, and electricity will not be restored to the cells anytime soon. Ladies and gentlemen, those individuals are pretty much living in a crypt, if that's even what you call it, just the concrete sarcophagus. They have absolutely no power, no outlets, nothing, just running water. Why would they do that? It's because inmates are known to pop the socket, which is a very common way to get fire in prison. I've already taught it so many times, but there's techniques to do things to the outlet to get a pop and some fire going. Or the light, anything with electricity running from it. An inmate will figure out how to make fire. You're like a caveman in there, man. You need it. Gotta get these tattoos done and stuff, right? But these guys, man, they are in that cell with nothing. I know they're going absolutely batshit crazy, screaming and yelling all damn day and night. And they're getting punished with the trays. They're probably bringing some dusty ass trays because they keep lighting these fires. It says originally IDOC told 13 Investigates that power would be restored to cells in D cell house within a few days, so inmates would have their lights. But the department now says after multiple inmates threatened to use their light sockets and light bulbs to light fires to protest the loss of electric sockets, IDOC has decided not to turn electricity in the cells back on. Yep, they're pissed because they can't watch their TVs anymore. In prison, that's like the only thing you really got is your personal TV. You can go in your cell and just sit there and watch that shit all day and night. For many people, it shreds time. For me, it was poker and tattooing. But one thing's for sure and two things for certain, man. Anybody with some batteries in this cell block could possibly get rich, and things are going for top dollar. No electricity? Where's the double A's? Take the battery out of Johnny's back. We don't need him no more. It continues saying that the inmates should expect no electricity or lights in their cells this weekend or for the foreseeable future. Chances are one of those inmates is going to snitch on those firebugs, and they're shipping them to a dark, high-level prison. But this afternoon, it continues saying IDOC told 13 News it is planning to install additional high-output LED wall-mounted lights in each range, and a range is like a floor, or in Virginia, we would call them a tier. And when you see something like that going into the prisons, and you know, I seen it when I went into Shawshank Redemption prison. Here's a little clip of it, but yeah, they're designed very similar to this. Many prisons out there. A lot of people are on these ranges, tiers, but they want to get a high output LED wall mounted light in each range, probably to bring a little bit of light to these cells. They ain't got no power, so they can't complain of not having any light at all, right? I'm sure there's at least 4 or 5 people in there screaming, I can't even read my religious material. I'm suing. Give me that 1983 form. But IDOC Communications Director Nicole Russell said administrators had hoped to keep the lights on in each cell, but that inmates' threats to set more fires via light sockets prompted them to take temporary measures to ensure safety and security. With electric outlets removed in D Cell House, IDOC is also continuing to remove all electric devices from inmate cells, with the exception of computer tablets, which can be used to access entertainment and communicate with family members. Man, these inmates got it good these days. I keep forgetting about their dusty-ass tablets. I ain't hating. I'm just saying, man, I had to do the hard time. There weren't no damn tablets anywhere I was at. Nothing but concrete, man. And steel, of course. Rusty. I could definitely entertain myself with a tablet in there. I'd have all my games and I could get on there, man. I'd just be bidding. But maybe I should have continued reading. It says, without power outlets, inmates will no longer be able to charge their tablets. Oh, man, yeah, they're living in the Stone Age. Oh, my fault, fellas, my fault. You're getting a taste of old 2010s and under. But I got to keep my head focused on the mission here, man. This ain't no laughing matter. You'll understand here in 1 second, all right? But it says, IDOC told 13 News it has purchased several portable charging carts that inmates will be able to access to charge their tablets. But as of Friday afternoon, most of those carts had not yet arrived to the D Cell House. IDOC says that they should be available by early next week. In the meantime, staff are charging inmates' tablets in the office areas. And you know those OG shot callers are getting that free ride all the time. Those low-ball, low-class inmates, man, they ain't getting no kind of charge if I were to guess. Unless them COs are playing by the book, which I highly doubt. 165-year-old prison? Come on. Ain't nothing being ran by the book. Just a guess. My 2 cents. But it says confiscated TVs, hotspots, fans, and other devices are being placed in storage and will be returned to each inmate at a later date when he leaves a segregated housing in D Cell House, according to the prison. Man, it's segregated housing. They can't even leave, write themselves out if they wanted to. That's like the end of the road. The next step is transferred to another prison. And like I said earlier in the episode and many episodes in the past, you can go crazy back there in Seg. The hole, the shoe, the box, whatever you want to call it. Some people literally have a mental breakdown and snap. Start lighting fires and all kinds of stuff, which are probably about to break down here in a second. Russell said Indiana State Prison will be installing 16 large screen TVs that will be placed on both sides of the D Cell House ranges, so inmates will still have access to some limited TV programming. Well, that's all right, and that's something I'm actually used to. You know, most cell blocks have a big TV in it. If you ain't got one personally, you can tune in with your radio on a particular radio station and listen to what's going on the TV. Community TV. But, of course, that was back in my day. It says here now that inmates will be using their tablets to access the TV audio. Either way, despite inmates not having access to their personal fans, which could be an issue, like I said, it gets very humid in the summertime in them cell blocks, doesn't matter if you're in Indiana or not. I was in prisons in Virginia, man, I don't even know what the temps got to. The walls were sweating. We didn't have no damn AC in there. It was damn hell on earth, man. If you didn't have your fan, you might be passing out that day. You would get in the shower not to get clean, just to get wet. Walk back in your boxers, don't dry off, just lay in front of your fan with a bucket of ice in front of it. Because we did have an ice machine in there. And I remember one hot summer day, someone had a mental breakdown, and dude was coming to refill the ice machine with the big ice cart. Another inmate, trustee, and the dude that had a mental breakdown got naked and jumped inside the damn ice box. Ah, there goes the ice for the next month, y'all. I'm checking out of here, man. CO, I got enemies. Don't get me going on the block jumping. But that's about the end of the article. They go into more detail on how they're going to help fix this situation. Let's speak about more of a sensitive subject here, okay, the people that were harmed in these cells from these fires. But it says here, recently, several inmates at the Indiana State Prison in Michigan City have been severely burned or killed in a series of cell fires. The most recent critical incident occurred on April 7th, 2026, with an inmate in D cell house was airlifted to a hospital after a fire broke out in his cell. This followed another severe incident on March 15, 2026, involving 43-year-old Adam Schaefer, who suffered 3rd and 4th degree burns over 65% of his body. Schaefer remains in critical condition and has undergone multiple surgeries, including amputations of both arms and one leg. Josh Devine was a 30-year-old inmate at the Indiana State Prison who burned to death in his cell on April 7, 2017. The blaze was officially ruled accidental, likely caused by an electrical event involving a television in his cell. Devine was trapped in his lock-burning cell, cell 540, for approximately 12 to 13 minutes while screaming for help. Other inmates joined in the screaming to alert guards, who reportedly took nearly 8 minutes to even leave their station. 8 minutes ain't that bad, man. I've seen people scream for over 30. Shoot, even longer in some situations, like when you're in the hole. Them guards are so used to the inmates kicking and screaming all the time that they don't take none of those screams serious. They just let them, keep on doing their thing until one day it's actually something serious and something like this happens. And my condolences go out to Josh's family, man. Very sad situation. I can't imagine going out like that. But I can see all this playing out because, when inmates fall out, or even if they get beat down real bad by like gang members or something, they're just laying there and we're on lockdown or something, man, inmates do scream for help for these guys. A lot of inmates have heart and compassion, believe it or not. It continues saying that surveillance footage and eyewitness testimony from other inmates alleged that a correctional officer reached the cell but turned around and walked away without helping. When supervisors finally arrived with the correct keys and extinguishers, the heat was so intense that Josh's, oh man, I can't even read this, ladies and gentlemen, it's way too descriptive. All I can say is melted. Doesn't take much. Go ahead and do your own research if you want to read the gruesome details. But it says in February 2024, the state of Indiana paid $4 million to Josh's family to settle a federal wrongful death lawsuit. Investigations revealed that the prison lacked a working sprinkler system and had not been inspected by the fire marshal for 7 years prior to the incident and suffered from widespread electrical tampering. And Michael W. Smith, 48, died after being burned in his cell at the Indiana State Prison in Michigan as well. On January 14, 2023, the fire broke out shortly before 11 a.m. in cell A252 of Cell House A. While guards responded faster than in a previous fatal fire at the prison, Smith remained trapped in his locked cell as flames spread. An officer opened the door about a minute after the fire started, but the heat was too intense to extract him. Investigators believe that the fire was accidental and likely electrical. They found a computer power cord plugged into an outlet and a large number of electronics under his bed, though the exact ignition point was not conclusively determined. It took approximately 7.5 minutes for an inmate firefighter to arrive and remove Smith's body. He was the second inmate that died this way at the prison in 6 years following the 2017 death that we just spoke about, Joshua Devine, or Devine. I apologize if I didn't pronounce it right. My condolences once again go out to both families involved with this situation, man. This is many inmates' worst nightmares, being burned alive in their cell. 165-year-old prison needs some damn updates, or you need to shut that thing down. I'm out here though, ladies and gentlemen. Today's the day. We are definitely breaking that 1 milli. Hate to bring such a gruesome story on a joyous day, but that's what we do over here. We talk about the dark side of prison and jail. Unfortunately, right? So if you happen to be one of those small percents out there that enjoy this type of content, go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. Help me get to that milli. Set the notification bell to all, of course. Don't want you missing a single thing. Got some wild stories coming your way this week. In the meantime, though, as always, y'all be easy, be safe, and more importantly than anything, stay free.